Hi everybody, welcome to Khong Driving, and today we have a very exciting car here, and this is none other than the all-new 7th generation Hyundai Elantra. Now, what we hear is this car is the latest from Hyundai, and it's based on what they call futuristic parametric dynamics. That's what the Hyundai design engineers call it, but basically what it does is it works with a lot of triangles and lots of angles, and later you will see what the car looks like from the side and from inside. Now this one has a new gearbox, it's called the IVT. It's 8-speed and it's supposed to be a smart CVT, but they call it intelligent variable transmission. And what Hyundai claims is that with this new 8-speed transmission and a new iteration of the 1.6 liter engine, it gives you a different driving feel. So we can't tell you much about that right now, but it's just a promise of a different driving experience, and that will come later when we get to test drive the car. But for the time being, we have 123 horsepower and 154 Newton meters of torque, which is going to pull this 1.245 ton car. Okay, looking at the car from the front, you can see that this is all new design, and you can see that the grille is very large, and this is in compliance with the current trend. People like BMW and Mercedes going huge size grills, and for the Elantra you get a new grille that stretches from one side of the car to the other. Now all lights on this car are LED, so that means the DRLs and the headlights are LED, and they are nestled there very nicely. And here's a look at the grills. Okay, as I said before, the use of triangles and angles is very well put to work here, and you get this exciting new grille. I don't know what shape this is called, but it's quite okay. Now this is the radar stuff here, and of course that's the Hyundai emblem. And of course, if you look very carefully and you stretch your imagination a little bit, the Hyundai's symbol actually is the depiction of two people shaking hands. Yeah, that is signifies Hyundai's commitment to being good to its customers and customer satisfaction. So here's a look at the car in the flesh. It's C segment, and let's take a look from the side. Okay, in terms of length, this car is 4465 mm, so it is actually a C segment car. But most important about this car is actually the wheelbase, which is the center to center distance of the center of the front wheel to the center of the rear wheel, and the standard for C segment is 2700, but this has gone up 20 mm, so it's 2720 mm. So this is a very long car, and you can see the shape. It is very nice and sleek. The height is quite low. Yeah, it is only 1430 mm high, and 2/3 of it is taken by the body, 1/3 of it at the top is for the glass. So these are the proportions that are very contemporary. And let's move to the wheels. You have McPherson struts in the front, and here you see ventilated discs with a single floating caliper, and so that means the front is independent, and these are Khong tires with the size 225/45 R17. So the wheels look proportionate to the car, so 70 is okay, and of course it helps to keep the cost down. Then along the sides you can see here, this is a signature mark with the triangle in the body here, and the angles, so you can see lots of angles in the car. It breaks up the monotony of the sight. So you can see here how the angles work with the car. And let's move to the rear wheels since we are here. Rear wheels are the same size, and there is a single floating caliper with a solid disc. Rear suspension is a couple torsion beam, so it's actually in the shape of a U. Torsion beams at the back, then there's an arm that goes to the wheel, and same thing on the other side. And in between there's a torsion spring inside, and this allows a little bit of movement between the left and the right wheels, so it is, you can call it a kind of like a semi-independent lah. But this type of structure allows for a little bit of movement and therefore improves handling as compared to a rigid torsion beam. Now over at the back, you can see the rear glass is a little bit smaller because this part tapers upwards while this at the roof tapers down. And here's a very clever rendition at the back. They have this, what you call a fastback look or coupe look, and what they've done with the rear is the black trim here. It extends the rear screen, making it look even more low slung, but actually it's part of the boot. Okay, now before we go into the boot proper, let's look at the rear lights. They are sort of a H pattern. You can see the left hand part of the H is here, then it goes right across all the way to the other side. It's a very, very long and wide H, but I suppose that's the Hyundai signature. And of course you see the Elantra here at the back. And let's open the boot. Now here's a very interesting thing about the boot. This part of the boot, the top part of it, is actually a piece of plastic. It's made of plastic because I think the design engineers figured that it's going to be quite difficult for panel beater to knock this angle back. You know, this angle is quite difficult, and even if you want to bend metal, it's going to be very difficult to stamp this type of surface with accuracy. So they have opted for a plastic boot outer panel. Of course, the inner panel is still metal, yeah. And the other thing about the boot is that it covers the tail end of the car, and without the boot, this is what the tail end of the car looks like. So the boot covers over the panel, and inside you have, of course, your pull levers, one on each side, to lower the 60/40 seat. And it's quite a huge boot. I don't know the exact capacity, but it's quite good. And down there I note there's no spare tire, so we don't know if this is the final spec, but it seems like there is room for a spare tire if you need to have one. So it's good. Maybe they don't come with a spare tire, but you can buy one and put inside there just in case, yeah. So it's pretty nice. There is space for you to put one. Okay, so that's so much for the boot. Let's move to the front. Okay, before we move to the front, let's take another look at the back. Down at the bottom, the fog light is in the center, and there's a little bit of garnish at the tail end to make it look good. I don't know where's the exhaust pipe. I don't think it's there. It should be shooting downwards somewhere, but it's not in that tail garnish. Okay, let's go back to the front and try to look at the engine. Thank you, Mr. Lee. Okay, so this is a C segment, and of course you need to have that little stick there. And so sorry, no shock absorber or telescopic arm. But here is the engine in the flesh. It's 1.6 liter, and looking at it, it is a very advanced design because you have dual VVTI, variable valve timing, and also the aluminum body. Yeah, the engine looks like it's made of aluminum, and also credit must be given to Hyundai. Even the mountings are made of aluminum, including this mounting for the alternator. And also you notice along the sides they have cut the fenders to save weight, and also the engine rocker cover is plastic. This is also plastic, and even the intake manifold, as with many cars now, are made of plastic. But this plastic is strong, yeah, don't worry, it won't melt. Now, interesting thing about this engine is, you can see here, there are 4 cylinders, 1, 2, 3, 4. And each of the cylinders has 2 of these little things. What are they? They are called injectors. And what they do is, at the special timing, they inject fuel into the piston. Now, this car has got 4 valves per cylinder, so it's 2 intake valves and 2 exhaust valves. So it makes sense, right, to have 2 injectors. So there are 2 ports, you can shoot fuel inside. And having 2 injectors, it's easier to regulate the fuel, and also you can shorten the squirt time. Yeah, so because you can increase the volume, so you can put in the correct size of injector to suit what you need. So this is a very smart way of increasing engine efficiency. Okay, drive is by wire. You can see here, this is the drive by wire, and the intake is here. And where is the intake hole? Okay, looks like the intake hole is here, which is just under the bonnet line. And so for those of you who live in flood areas, yeah, you can safely say 1.5 feet in water should be okay. But of course, when you're traversing floods, you must always be very, very careful. Now, here's another important point. The ECU is up here, right up here. So it's very high. And of course, nowadays ECUs are all put in the engine compartment. But I tell you what is so smart about the Hyundai engine. The ECU is put this side, and you notice the engine is over there. And in between, you have the air cleaner box and the battery, and this helps to insulate the heat away from the ECU unit. Okay, then looking at the strut housing, the strut housings are put very close to the firewall, and this is how people build cars nowadays. And you can see also, this is a reinforced turret, and if you look very, very carefully down there, you can see there is a reinforcement bar that runs across from one to the other to strengthen the chassis. And nowadays, having a good chassis is important to good handling. Okay, if I didn't mention it, the engine has 123 horsepower and 154 Newton meters of torque, and it drives the front wheels through a IVT, which is intelligent variable transmission, and there are 8 speeds. Now, I've been told that this will give you a very good driving experience, but we won't know until we actually test it. Now, the top speed, 0 to 100 is done in 10.4 seconds, top speed of 196 kilometers per hour, and it promises a fuel consumption rating of 5.6 liters per 100. Of course, this is tested to Korean standards. So that's it for the engine. Let's move on to the interior. Here's looking at the car, opening the door, and of course they have the remote here. You can open the door without the key. And looking at the inside, now there are 3 tones. This first part of the inside is this is like jeans material. It's a fabric, and there's some sewing here. Then you have plastic, and it's in light gray, and then there's black. So actually it's gray, black, and a lighter gray, so it's 3. Okay, so onto the seats. It's also a 2-tone, is gray and sort of like darker gray leather. And now there's interesting thing about this leather is that there are holes punched in them. Why? Because these seats are ventilated and heated. So is the steering wheel. Yeah, steering wheel is heated, and so are the wing mirrors. Okay, that's very important because they don't mist up. Okay, now but the seats have ventilation and heating. Steering only has heating, and you can turn it on or off if you want. And in terms of the ventilation, you can have just ventilation or ventilation and heat. So it's all independently controlled. The driver gets electrical seat, passenger gets mechanical. Now, so these seats are very good for people who are traveling in hot countries like us, because on a hot afternoon, if you sweat a lot, it's very nice to have seat ventilator to cool your backside. Okay, now looking at the steering wheel, this is a 13-inch steering wheel, and it, of course, is adjustable mechanically, of course, for reach and rake. And I think the key here is the instrument panel. This is the digital age, and you know Korea is in the forefront. And you can see here, this is a 10.25 inch digital instrument panel, and of course all those things are programmable. You can change what you want, and so this is one level that is head on with the driver, and then the other side, the 8-inch screen, is for also the entertainment system. And what it does is it is slanted towards the driver too, but of course there's a little bit for the passenger. They can also have a look and tune the radio if they want. Okay, I'm going to slide the seat back, and okay, let me just say that yeah, this seat is good for a tall person. And so this is the steering wheel, and this is the dash panel. Looks very nice and very futuristic. This is like a cockpit of a car. Infotainment screen, 8 inches. This is the 10.25 instrument panel, and there are a few driving modes on this car. They have 4 driving modes. They have Eco, Smart, Sport, and Comfort. What is Smart? Smart is a kind of like a responsive type of driving, and it allows you, it senses your throttle pressure, and the car reacts accordingly. I've just turned off the battery because it says it's discharging. And here you have a two zone aircon control, and down there you have a 12-volt power socket and USB ports. Gear lever looks pretty good, and you can see the drive mode button here. Okay, I'm going to try to start the car. Okay, we've started the car. That helps to low fuel. Okay, so this is a display car, not a driving car. You have the drive modes here, and what happens when you press the button, the drive mode changes. Yeah, so you have Smart, you have Normal, Eco, Sport. So the drive mode colors change according to what you do. Okay, so okay, there are no paddle shifters, and there is also a Tiptronic. Yeah, Tiptronic means you push your lever to one side, and then you get your plus minus. That's it. You have also a handbrake, which is electric, and auto hold, which means it's a very great convenience feature because you can leave it in gear at the traffic light, take your foot off the brakes, and the car will stay. Okay, so for the instrument panel, thanks Mr. Lee, there are many things you can do to it. Okay, let's go through it. Yeah, so by pressing on this button here, you can activate the various modes. Alright, so that's it. And in terms of the dashboard panel, the dash panel, this is for your touch. It's a bit soft. Then you have, of course, this aluminum looking like thing, and that houses the aircon vents. There are 4 vents, 2 for driver, 2 for co-driver, and then down there is hard plastic. So it looks pretty nice, and you can see on the outside there's a surround that goes around to this side, and it comes in this side, so you get this cocoon-like feeling sitting in the car. Visibility is quite good. And here's another interesting part which I like. Now this car is made for right-hand drive. Why do I say that? Because if you look down here, you can find that there is this little cockpit border that is in gray, and it kind of denotes this is your space. Yeah, this is the space for the driver. So the co-driver doesn't actually have a role here, except that maybe he's allowed to touch the buttons for the radio, but other than that, don't touch this stuff. These are mine. Okay, so this is the driver's space, so you can very clearly see this is my space, that's your space, and this is stay out of it. Yeah, of course you have to reach in to get your drinks, and down there is a little cubby hole with your USB port. But this car is really made for the driver. Okay, what I'm going to do now is we're going to go to the back seat and have a look at the car from the back. I think you better open the door. Okay, so getting into the back of the car, I'm sitting here, and let's look at the seat. Oh, there's plenty of leg room. I'm putting my hand there, and so this car is big because remember I said it's got 2720 mm of wheelbase, and of course you get your adjustable anchors for your seat belts, and oh my god, handles, there are 3 because the driver doesn't have one, so that's okay. They recess the back of the rear seat to give you more room, and of course you can still put your leg inside to give you more space. The rear seats are a bench, and there are 3 headrests, but actually, to be truthful, it will seat only 2 people comfortably, and a very skinny one as a third. Of course, when you sit 2 at the back, you want to use this center armrest. Okay, so what price is this car, guys? Okay, the launch is going to be in mid-December. Okay guys, so what will be the price of this car? We have no idea. Mr. Lau, the CEO of Hyundai, is not telling us, and of course it has to be kept a secret until they get official price approval from the authorities. But okay, having guessed it, okay, there's something else I haven't told you about the car. This car has got the ADAS, which is the Advanced Driving Assistance System, and it has forward collision warning with braking. It has blind spot collision warning with avoidance assist. It has lane keep assist and lane follow assist, and also it has auto cruise control with stop and go, and also it has rear cross traffic and avoidance assistance, which means if there's a car coming close to you, the brakes will apply and stop your car. It also has driver attention warning, and for the smart cruise control, it also has the normal stuff that says it will continue moving if the car in front stops for less than 3 seconds. After 3 seconds, there's a beep that tells you the front car is moving off, and you have to press the resume button. So this car is actually quite heavily loaded. So how much do you think this will cost? We have no idea, but my estimation will bring it close to 155,000. So much is going to be dependent on how the car drives. We don't know that, but I'm very interested to see how the 8-speed IVT will handle the roads here. And according to a spokesman from the company, the 8-speed IVT helps the driving experience a lot. And also the new design for the engine cylinder head also improves the responsiveness of the engine. So put together, it offers a driving experience that is very, very unique. So whether it's better or not, we don't know yet until we see the car in the flesh. And of course, the final price that they announce will have a big effect on how the sales will go. But anyway, we wish Hyundai Malaysia a good sale with this vehicle, and all the best. All right then, so guys, thanks very much for being with us, and if you like our video, please don't forget to share, and if you have not subscribed, you know what to do. We need all the subscriptions we can get. Okay then, till we meet again, bye bye.